Welcome to Harmonious Clan's live parenting coaching replay. We do our live coaching every Friday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 11:30 a.m. Central, and 12:30 p.m. Eastern on Facebook Live. Louisa will answer your questions, help you walk through your struggles, and provide you with strategies you can apply now to bring out the gem that is your child from that diamond in the rough.
Hi, I'm Louisa Kasha, author of Outcast Outstanding, the practical guide of understanding and addressing the drivers of your child's behavior. I'm live here every Friday at 10:30 Mountain Time to share my strategies with you. I'm actually an engineer by training, but today I engineer outside-the-box solutions for outside-the-box children. What I mean by outside-the-box children are those children who are very talented, very intelligent, and sometimes they do not fit into the box. And the cookie cutter solutions just don't work with those children. Many of them have different diagnoses, and some of them don't. Some of the children may be on the autism spectrum. Some may have Asperger's. Some may have ADHD, sensory processing disorders, and many of them do not have any diagnoses. But you know, if you've got one of those children who are outside the box, you've read tons of parenting books, and none of those solutions really work for your child. I'm here every Friday at 10:30 Mountain Time to share my strategies on how I have successfully brought a lot of children from outcast to outstanding. I personally have 6 children on my own, and many of them do have those special needs, which is how I ended up developing a lot of the strategies that I'm sharing with you here every Friday. Today, I want to talk to you about self-esteem. I have a child. At the time, he was 3, and we went to a park, and there were these little stools, or I don't know what you call them, but they're raised platforms separate from one another, and you're supposed to hop on them from one to the next. So it's like hopping pads and raised pads that you hop from one to the next, and you have to keep your balance, and you have to step onto the right pad and keep stepping onto the right pad. Kind of a gross motor skill activity. So, but if you don't, and you may fall off, which is not a big deal. I mean, it's not that dangerous. You just fall off and get back on. So at the time, this particular son of mine was 3, and he was pretty good he was all right with his motor skills. So I said, hey, let's go on that. And he didn't go. He was always, every time we went to the park, he was always avoiding that. He would go on the slide, he would go on all the other things, but he was always avoiding that particular part of it. So one day I encouraged him and I said, well, let's try that. And he said to me, he looked at it, and he looked down on the floor with a very sad face, and he said, I can't do it. And I said, well, we haven't tried. How do we know? And he said, I know I can't do it. And the face was so sad, and it was so hopeless, and it was so much of a, I don't have to try. I just look at it and I know that I can't do it. But the reality is those were just for a child like him. I mean, there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to do it. But I think when he looked at the fact that you have to step from one to the next, he's already thinking, well, I can't step from one to the next. And I want to talk to you about the underlying issue for a child not even wanting to try something, because they have very low self-esteem, and probably in the past, everything that they have tried, there's a high chance of failure experience. So when it comes to, well, let's try something, they don't want to try it. It was very sad to me to see my child thinking that lowly of himself, thinking that he is so incapable that he can't try it, he can't do it, and he's not going to humiliate himself to do it. So I do realize that a lot of children are in that position where there's something that if they try, they can get, but they will not do it because they don't want to take the risk of failing, and they have had too much failures in their lives that they don't want to take the risk. It's just too much. And plus, Most things that I have tried, I have not succeeded. And so I know that I cannot do it. You can't have a child walking around thinking that I know that I can't do it. We need to completely change that. We need to bring them to a success paradigm to where their experiences are more of a success rather than failure. On success paradigm, I talked a lot. I devoted a whole section, 3 or 4 chapters on that in my book, Outcast Outstanding, which you can get on Amazon. But today I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about maybe starting to build a little bit of that, starting to build a little bit more of the self-esteem. There's several strategies that I want to share with you. The number one is you want to look for the low-hanging fruits. So a lot of times, these children look at something and it's like, well, yeah, I can try, but then I may not be able to do it. You want to look for the low hanging fruits. Those are the ones that are down below, very easy to grab. And to them, it doesn't matter if it's a high fruit or if it's a low hanging fruit, but if they got it, they got it. That is success under their belt. How do they look for low hanging fruits in their life? Every day. Here, self-esteem. One is you want to look for low hanging fruits. Okay, so how do you look for them? It's in your everyday life at home. I mean, the easiest way would be at home, any chores that they can do, depending on the age and the stage of a child. I mean, maybe he can go and take the trash out. Maybe he can go and take the recycle bin out. Maybe he can go and dump all the recycled into the outside bin. Maybe he can wipe down the table. I mean, there's a lot of very small tasks that's in our everyday household. It's part of our everyday living that we are not really having our children do as much of. And when we do, it's really not a big deal. But I want you to actually take those opportunities, have your child do them, and really, really praise them and give them those experiences of, I can do it. I can do it. Would you wipe down the table? And they wipe it down. Oh, wow, it's shiny. There's no crumbs. There's nothing else on it. Wow. Well done. I mean, it may not seem like it means so much to you, but it means a lot to a child who's going through every day between school and home, homework, this, that, going from failure to failure to failure. When he has those little things that he can build success upon, it means a lot for those children. Look for even little things like, let's offload all the groceries when you first come home. Can you help me get this bag in there, or whatever it may be? Sort out the things in the pantry. Look for the tasks that your child can easily do every day in the household. So every day in the household, you can be building your child's self-esteem without him or her even realizing. Number 2, is that you want to acknowledge their effort. Acknowledge effort. So when your child tries something, or every time your child does something, they are keeping track of whether or not they've been successful, whether or not they scored, whether or not they got it, and they're keeping the black and white score of themselves. You want to start erasing that whole black and white mentality, because if they aim it, they don't hit target, now that's the end of it, and they are registering in their head that that's another failure try. So you want to really put the focus on the effort. It is not whether or not you get it right, but it's the effort. So for example, I have done a whole lot of tutoring in my life, specifically in math, because I was an engineering major and I was quite strong in math. And I kind of had this way of working with children where, I make complex math problems seem very simple to them, and they're able to get it a lot quicker. So I used to work a whole lot with children in the math tutoring arena, and a lot of parents that end up calling me are those that are always failing. And there's a ton of kids that don't do very well in math. What I notice in common is typically those kids come and they look at a problem, they toss their hands, and it's like, no, I can't do it. I already know it. I'm not even going to try. So you really want to acknowledge their effort. So you start from something really easy for them. And then if they put in the slightest effort, you immediately reward them for the effort. You praise them. You know what? It doesn't even matter if you got this right, but I'm so proud of you for even trying, because I know, taking that very first step to try and take a risk is the hardest thing. So you're acknowledging their effort, and slowly you want to grow them into acknowledging their efforts for themselves, knowing that, okay, so I'm going to kick this ball, and it doesn't really matter if I kick this in, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. So I'm going to shoot the hoop, and I'm going to try it. And it doesn't matter how many I actually makes it in, but it's the effort of me doing that. And you also want to bring out a lot of there are a lot of historical models, biographies of people that have tried many, many, many times, right? Edison, for example, is somebody who has tried many, many, many times and finally got it. But all of the effort, people aren't really looking into. You want to really zoom into the effort, because that's what counts. So as a parent, I know we look at the results. When parents call me, it's like, well, you got a C, got a D. Oh, that's not acceptable. But okay, well, let's take little baby steps at a time. Let's first of all look at the effort, because a lot of those children that are getting D's and C's and F's, they're not even trying. They're not even putting their effort, and that's their biggest problem. So you really want to start acknowledging any effort that they put in instead of the result of what they get. When you look at the results a whole lot, it gets children to develop a self-critical point of view, which is good in the perspective of improvement, but it becomes detrimental for a child who is low self-esteem prone and beating up themselves, who has that kind of issue. So really acknowledge their effort. Number 3 tip here is you want to give them good things. Say something good things all day, okay? I don't know how many hours a day you spend with your child after school, after your work, but for the amount of time, if it's only an hour a day or 2 hours a day, the amount of time that you spend with your child, you really want to say something good to them for all of that time. So what you can do is you can even set your timer on your phone, or on your clock, or whatever it is. You can set the timer to actually beep every 5 minutes or even every 10 minutes to get to say something good about your child. I know we forget. I mean, we come home from work and you got to do dinner, you got to make sure homework is taken care of, and life is busy, and you're just trying to unwind from your day. Or even if you are a stay-at-home parent, by the time you get your child, it's very overwhelming, and it feels like, okay, let's just get this through, let's just get to bed, let's go to bed, and just so we can relax, right? But you really want to take advantage of those times that you're spending with them to make sure every few minutes, or every now and then, every so frequently, you're saying something great about them. Hey, you know what? That's a nice shirt. Okay, that has nothing to do with your child. That's just a shirt, but that's okay. You want your child to start getting in the mode of, okay, I'm good enough. What I do is good enough. And I'm a great person. I'm doing very well. You want to constantly be feeding those things into your child. And so literally, you're constantly feeding it by doing this every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes. Make sure you don't go by any increment of time, whatever increment that you set, without saying something great about your child. If this seems too overwhelming to you, let's start with half an hour increment, or let's start off with saying 5 great things about your child today. Go ahead and keep tabs on yourself, keep a tally mark on yourself, or, mark 1 every time you say something great about yourself. And at the end of the day, about your child. And at the end of the day, if you said 5, great. All right. Keep it on for a few days. Maybe tomorrow you can shoot for 6 things, 7 things, great things about your child. So you're intentionally feeding in positive energy into your child's life, which is really important because these children don't hear these a lot. What they're hearing is corrections after corrections. You're not doing this well. A lot of these children have problems staying in their own body because they have regulation problems, and that's really challenging for them. So every minute while they're sitting in class or in school or doing their homework, they're getting corrected. Well, sit down. Where are you going? Sit down. And then a lot of these children have concentration and focus issues. I mean, they're all root causes and reasons why they tend to have trouble with concentration and focus or even sitting down. That's just their disposition. In my book, I talk about how to address that. There are other coaching sessions that I talk about how to address that. But today I really want to focus on what does it do to their mindset when this is the kind of day they're going through all day. They really not hearing enough great things about themselves, and you cannot feed them you cannot ever feed them enough great things about them. So go ahead and spoil them with good things that you have to say about them. Hey, I noticed you came in and you took your shoes off. Or, hey, I noticed you came in and you didn't try mud all through the house. I mean, whatever it is, make an extra effort. Oh, great job bringing your dishes back in. Whatever it is, really have a keen eye there, noticing what they're doing every minute, and just give them to your child. Be generous in that regards. Number four strategies is to encourage other interests. Interests outside of their everyday life or outside of whatever it is that they do. So a lot of these children are really challenged when it comes to academics, school, classes, just because of their inability to focus, concentrate, and pull themselves together. I mean, there's a whole lot that's missing that cause schooling to be so difficult for them. Again, those things are addressed in other coaching sessions and in my book, Outcast Outstanding. But today I really want to focus on what does that do to their mind, right? So if they're constantly experiencing their everyday life, which is you have to comply, you have to sit still, you have to focus, you have to really get this. Well, what if they're dyslexia and they can't get this? I mean, whatever it may be, they're experiencing failure all the time. And so if that's their life, they know that, everything I do in life is hard for me, right? But so that's why you want to explore other interests outside of their life. Let's try something else. I mean, whatever it may be, soccer, rock climbing, I don't know, bird watching, music, concerts, whatever it may be, explore it, or even painting, drawing. I mean, a lot of these kids are so talented. I mean, they get into the mood and then they're drawing, they're painting, they're crafting. Those are the creative times that they really have let their creativity out. They really are able to just let loose and relax and feel like, okay, I can be myself without having to perform up to a certain standard and having to do this right. And that's just really stressful for them. When you explore these outside interests with them, painting, drawing, going outside, biking, whatever it may be, it brings out a different perspective for them, because to them, they're experiencing something that they're not failing in. And the fact that you are doing something different, something new, is again building that risk-taking perspective for them. It's like, yeah, we can take the risk. And oh, wow, I'm glad we did, because you never knew you had so much fun ice skating. I mean, you never knew that this would be so much fun, right? You never knew rock climbing would be this much fun. You never knew whatever it would be, clay or whatever it is that you can get your child into. It gives them a different perspective of life. It gives them a different perspective of, so there are things that are challenging to me that I can't do well. That's just hard for me. And then there's tons of other things that I not only like, but I'm good at. And that is a very, very big message for them. So we're loading them with a ton of things. I mean, look at that. We're loading them, look for the low hanging fruits. We're loading them with successful experiences. Okay, acknowledge their effort. We're loading them with our verbal acknowledgement of effort. Good things all day, we're loading them with, again, verbal acknowledgement, verbal telling them that you are great. You're a great person. You're doing a great job. You are good enough, right? And then other interests. Now we're loading them with personal experience and personal discovery of, yes, I can be good at other things. Yes, I can find things that are happy for me. I can find things that I feel good about. So that means a lot. I'm going to leave you with one last one. Number 5, you're going to want to be like a sport narrator. Okay, 5 is all that I'm able to share today with my time. I have a lot more in my book in Outcast Outstanding that you can get from Amazon, but we're going to close out with the last one. Sports narrator, what does that mean? You know, those sports narrator that are reporting and always telling you, or reporter, I don't know what you call them. But you know what I'm talking about? The guys that are always that are narrating through the whole game and telling you who scored, who just ran there, who did this, who did that, and that sort of thing. And it seems like they're just narrating every single step of it. That's what you want to do with your child. You know, hey, he came home. Oh yeah, I see you got the milk out. Oh, I see that you put the cup back. I mean, it's just and I know it's gonna sound silly to you, but it's an effort to show that you notice your child. It's a subtle message, but a very, very strong message that's telling your child, hey, I notice you. No matter what you do, I notice you. And you don't have to be successful. You don't have to do a great job in something. You don't have to score for me to notice you. But I notice your existence. You are important to me. I notice every move that you take, and you are important to me. That's what it's saying to the child. It's saying that it's giving them the message that I don't have to be successful. I don't have to score. I don't have to get A's to get noticed, to become somebody that's important and to become somebody that's special. What does that say? What does that do to their self-esteem? I mean, it's saying a whole lot. It's saying that you, as a person, you are important. I notice you. And it's taking them off the pressure of having to perform in order to be special or important or noticed. That does a lot to their self-esteem, because that means I am good enough. My existence is great. Right? So it's not contingent upon what I do, what I'm successful in. So the trap you want to really try to avoid is the trap of, I'm only good enough if I perform. I'm only good enough if I score. I'm only good enough if I'm successful with my recitals or whatever it may be. That kind of mentality, which is what our society is very driven by. I mean, it's achievement based. We're always noticing those that are scoring in sports teams. We're noticing those that are A students. We're noticing those that are performing well. And our society is very achievement driven. But on the downside, it causes a lot of children who don't fit into the box to have self-esteem issues, right? So we want them to know that, you know, I notice you anyways, and your pure existence is great and beautiful, and you are beautiful and wonderful. I mean, that tells a child a whole lot. It gives them a whole lot to start their life with. So they're not constantly, because you don't want them to think of their own self-image as something that is dependent upon what they do. That's a very dangerous trap, because then, you know, you want to encourage risk taking. You want to encourage your child trying things. Well, you know, out of everything that you do, really, how many things are you successful in? How many things do you really ace in? I mean, how many things are you really so great in? And if your self-esteem is tightly linked to your achievement, it's a really dangerous trap. I mean, unless you are one of the best whatever, piano player, or whatever it is in the world, you're not going to have a good self-esteem by thinking that. So from the very young age, we want to instill the habit or the mentality of my pure existence is great and I am beautiful no matter what I do. That is a whole lot for a child to be growing up thinking, because that mentality enough will allow them to take risks, will allow them to be resilient, will allow them so much more in life. I have a lot more to share with you, but we're out of time today, and I'm here every Friday again, Mountain Time, 10:30, to share my strategies and answer any questions. If you have any questions, pop it up in live channel or just send me an email and I will address it during these live sessions. I'll also pick topics based on the questions that people are asking me. This is a week that I've received a lot of questions about that's related to self-esteem. So that's a topic that I'm picking that I think everybody can benefit from this week. Again, my name is Louisa Kasha. I'm here to share my strategies with you every Friday Mountain Time at 10:30. Hope you had a great Christmas holiday and wish you a happy new year. I'll see you next Friday again. Bye-bye.